In today's video, I'm going to show you how to hit your friend with lightning and make him fly away. Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ignace Aleya, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to hit your friend with lightning and with visual effects. And with the Acer Concept D7 easel. This is going to be the workhorse for this visual effect. If you want to follow along with the exact same footage as me, I will give you a link in the description below so you can download that as well. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so these are the two clips here in Adobe After Effects that I have prepared for this clip. So the first clip is where I'm charging my hand behind my back and I'm charging it with electricity. And then right here we have the second shot where I'm hitting the friend, or Enzo in this case, with lightning, and then he's going to fly off screen. But as you can imagine, he's not really doing that on set. We'll have to do that with effects. Alright, so what we'll do is import the lightning hand here into a new composition. And I'm going to fit this to my composition. And then I'm going to right click here and create a new solid layer to start my first lightning strike, let's say. Then click OK, and here I'm going to add the advanced lightning effect, which is a great tool in Adobe After Effects, but it always requires a bit of work to make it look good, because this doesn't look good at all. It looks terrible, to be honest. So another thing that we want to create now is a flare or a lens flare. You can also do that with plugins and stuff, but we don't want to do that for this video. So what I will do is create a new composition here and make it around 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. And this is just going to be my lens spot. And then click OK. And then we can create a new solid layer. And this time I'm going to make it white. And this is going to be flare. Click OK. And then go to the ellipse tool and double click on the ellipse tool to make a perfect circle. And now we can open up the mask effects right here and play with the mask expansion to make it quite small. And then start feathering it like so. And then we want to duplicate this. And this time go again to the same one. And this time we're going to make it bigger, feather it even more. And like this, you're going to create like a little bit of a variation, like a hot spot in the center and a little bit of an outer edge that is softer. And so like this, you can create your own lens flares. So if we set the blending mode here as well to screen or add, if you're going to start changing the colors, this is going to become more obvious. You can duplicate this again. And for example, we keep the first one to be white. The second one, we're going for a solid setting. And we're going to choose like a light blue color. Something like this. Click OK. And then for the last one, maybe we want an even more blue tone. And so obviously you can play around with this until you get something that you like, but you get the idea. We're trying to create like a bright hotspot where the lightning is going to connect with your body. So everywhere where lightning actually interacts, you will see that the connection point is very bright, and this is going to make it look realistic or fake in my opinion. So we definitely need those contact points. So now let's go back to our main composition and let's focus on the lightning. So to make this look good, the first thing that I always do is go to my glow settings and set the opacity for the glow to 0 and set my core color to a color that I want to go for, like a very slight color adjustment to that tone. So if we are going for a blue hue, we want to give it slightly whitish, bluish color, and then click OK. And you're not really going to notice it on the lightning, but if you're going to add a glow to this, it's going to come more to life in that color. So right here, I'm going to change my setting to strike. And that way we have these contact points that we can now move. And we can adjust the lightning like this. Then right here with the forking, I think 25 is okay. We can play with the decay, and you can also play with the decay in Maycore, but in this case, I'm actually not going to do that. But we can play a little bit with this decay here, so we just get a little bit less detail. And then if you open up the expert settings, you get the chance to change the complexity here. You can play around, well, in between 4 to 8 area. I found to be working well depending on what you're trying to achieve. So for this, if you want a simple one, you can go for 4, but the more you increase this, the more complex your lightning will become. This is overly complex, it's too complex, but would work great if your lightning would be huge, for example, or if you're trying to achieve a different type of look. So I'm going this time for a 6 in complexity. And apart from that, I just suggest to you that you play around with all these settings, see what works, and just concentrate on the lightning look, not on the glow or the color. Just focus on the structure of the lightning. And once you have that down, we can start applying our glow. So now I'm going to search Perfect Glow, which is a free preset that you can download on our website. We made it available for free, but it gives you some really nice glow results, and especially on this monitor, it pops even more. By the way, this awesome laptop comes with a 4K monitor, which is validated by Pantone. So these colors are super accurate and industry standard. So after playing around a little bit, this is the result that I'm getting, and I'm pretty satisfied with this. So what you can do now is either import a flare or import that lens spot that we created into this composition. And what I want to do here is open up my lightning layer, go into the effects, and go into the advanced lightning, and then we have this origin and direction. What I want to do is create 2 lens spots and press P on the keyboard for both of these, and then alt-click on the position and parent 1 to the origin, and go to the other one, alt-click on the stopwatch, parent this to the direction. So if we click away now, we will have these 2 spots in the corner. And so if we're going to move our lightning, these spots will follow. So let's select both of these spots and then press S on the keyboard to scale them down quite a bit, because this is obviously way too big. And then set them to screen, go for maybe like 10%, and keep it subtle. So maybe 20. And you can even go and add a wiggle to the scale, to the opacity if you want to make it look even better. So that's bringing me to the second point, and that's adding a exposure here to your lightning. And now you can hold Alt and click on the stopwatch for the exposure and write wiggle, open parentheses, 7, comma, and let's say 2. So 7 times a second is going to change value of 2 in the exposure, which is going to make our lightning flicker, and it's going to make it look a little bit more realistic if you're going to start animating this stuff. And so now we get some flickering lightning. So what I will do now is close all these steps so I can just focus on one thing at a time, unsolo these. And what you can also do is toggle the switches here and click on this icon here. And then you can actually hide these 2 lens spots so you don't have to see them in your layers, because we don't really need them. And then you can press or open up the lightning tab here and start creating some animations for the lightning. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch for the origin and direction, and then place my lightning at the beginning of my palm. And I'm also just going to select all my glow layers here and just deselect them for now so we can concentrate on the speed and efficiency of the lightning. Bring this point here, and now so we have a first keyframe on the first frame where my lightning is standing here. And so if we move 1 second forward, what you could do is just bring this down on your hand. Maybe even make it smaller so it's growing, and really think of how you would do this animation. Electricity usually generates forwards. It always moves towards a location. So if you start like charging up, it should continue. Every new lightning bolt should move in the same direction or go very chaotically all over. Just think of how it would look in real life if you're trying to animate something like this. And so now if you play this, one more thing that you could do is open up the advanced lightning tab and hold Alt and click on the stopwatch, and then press or write time times, and let's say 10. And so 10 times a second, well, every second is going to multiply it by 10. And so now we have some animation in our lightning while it's growing over my hand. And we also have these lightning bolts which are interacting with my hand. So that's great. Just right here, I'm actually in contact with my thumb, but you could actually go in here, go back to the advanced lightning. And if you think on this location it should be a little bit different, you just move the you move the points and make it look a little bit different. And so like this, I like to do my entire animation. And another thing that I also did is press T on the keyboard and just animated the opacity as well. So right here, it would be 100, and then 1 frame forward, I'm going to set that to 0. And so then you move forward a little bit and you set it back to 100. And so if you don't have the impact points also, actually going off with the opacity, you can actually turn this back on. You can either parent the opacity to this one, or you can just trim the layers. So I'm going to delete it here, and you can just trim these layers and then just do it like that. And then start over by duplicating these, bringing these on top, and then offsetting them, for example. And then going here, press U on the keyboard, go to the first keyframe, and this time we want to change it a little bit, make it look different. So maybe we want something like this. Okay, so if we are going to play this now, we will actually see that these new lens spots are not parented anymore. So we will need to reparent these to the correct one. So we can press E twice on the keyboard, and let's call this just Lightning 2. And go here for the layer Lightning 2. And there we go. So now these are parented to the right one. So to make this look more final, all you need to do is also add a little bit of reflection to the lightning bolt. And make sure that your glow is also turned on again. So I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. I'm going to bring a shadow and highlight to the adjustment layer that's going to lift my shadows. And then I'm also going to add a tint effect to this right here. I'm going to change the tint to a bluish color. And there we go. And then I'm going to mask out my adjustment layer. So now what you need to do is kind of roto a little bit, or just take your ellipse tool, do it roughly, and go around the lightning. And then press F on the keyboard, feather it up quite a bunch, and change your blending mode to a screen. And now you're getting some reflection in there, like that. And all you want to do is make sure that this interacts when the lightning is on, and when it turns off, this layer to be turned off, either with the opacity, either by splitting it. Whatever floats your boat. Okay, so this shot is now done. You can also add some cool color grading to finalize everything. But this will give you this end result. Alright, so for the second shot, what have we done? We recorded ourselves on a tripod where I'm acting like I'm hitting Enzoe, which is standing in front of me. Then he just jumps in the air, and when he falls back on the ground, he just exits the shot, just walking out of the frame, and me doing my final act, being a badass like I always am, you know me. Then I also walk out of the shot, and you're left with a clean plate, which you can use for Enzoe disappearing and falling out of the shot. So this is what we're left with. So what I will do is go in my first composition and just copy a lightning comp or layer and paste it in here. So what I want to do is look at the moment where I start lifting my hand, and then like right here, I'm going to trim my lightning comp to that moment. Press U on the keyboard to delete all the keyframes that I have created for this lightning. And then I want to bring these 2 points to my palm of my hand. So there we go. I'm going to create these keyframes, and then 1 second later, or maybe half a second later, we want to strike Enzoe with it. Boom. Okay, cool. So now it's growing from me to Enzoe, and just at the end, make sure that it's always following my hand. This is going to be a frame by frame animation kind of, but that doesn't really matter that much. This is how we're going to be doing the lightning. So let's say that he gets hit here at the highest point in air, like right here. I'm going to bring this a little bit closer. So now I want to trim this comp here, or this layer, to the moment that he actually gets struck. So I'm going to split the layer, and then I'm going to pick or duplicate this video. So Ctrl D to duplicate this layer. And then I'm going to select my roto brush tool, double click on that, and I'm going to roto around Enzoe. So do this part as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect for this tutorial, but the idea is that you get a pretty clean roto. So after that, all you want to do is go back to that layer, and I'm going to pre-compose it to kind of cheat the system. So I'm going to move all the attributes into this comp, and then I'm going to right-click here, time, freeze a frame. Not sure why I'm not seeing anything here. There we go. Okay, so if I solo this layer now, I have a keyed out frozen frame of Ignace. That's great. So now I want to press P on the keyboard for that layer, and R. So hold Shift to press R, and then you're going to see position and the rotation appearing together. You can also press and hold Shift S, Shift S to bring up the scale as well, and create a keyframe for all of these. And let's say if we impact him 1 second later, he's going to fly out of the screen. And actually, before we do that, let's go back to the first point here and make sure that our anchor point, we're going to choose our pan behind tool and bring this to the center point of Ignace. There we go. And then create the keyframes again, move 1 second, then press V on the keyboard to get your selection tool and just bring Ignace out of the frame. And just before we actually bring him out of the frame here, let's just give him 1 flip in the rotation. So 1, and just a little bit out. There we go. Then we're seeing also these curves here with these little dots, and if we click on these dots, we can drag out these arcs here, which is going to make the movement bend a little bit and appear a little bit more organic. So I'm going to bring these out, so I have a slight curvature here, and that into a combination with the animation of the position and of the rotation, and maybe the scale, I'm going to set it to 85, so it just scales down a little bit, like it's disappearing or actually moving farther from the camera. So now we're left with something like this. Obviously, this doesn't look good because he is staying pretty still. So what do we need to do now? I'm going to choose my puppet pin tool, and I'm going to create a puppet pin for Ignace. So I'm going to click here on a few parts, and all I want to do here is kind of fake the bendiness. Like right here in the half, he is actually going over, he's actually doing a total flip, a 180 flip. So if you would do a 180 flip, your legs would be here, and it wouldn't be, they wouldn't stay straight, your body actually follows the movement. So maybe we want to do something like that. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Maybe it is, maybe not. We'll see. Boom! Ooh, this is looking so fake. But yeah, obviously, if you play around with the timing here, if you play around with this puppet pin tool, and think about how these things work, you're going to get a more natural look, like in the final result. And so now toggle the switches, turn on the motion blur, and let's just do a small preview. But before we do that, I'm going to press U on the keyboard and select all of these last keyframes and just bring them closer to the beginning, because I don't think this entire thing is going to take that long. This is how he feels every single time After Effects crashes. Luckily for us, we're using this Acer Concept D, and this comes with a Xeon processor and also with an NVIDIA Quadro RTX graphics card. These two components are optimized for in the industry to give you better and more stable performances. So this is a pretty solid laptop and gives you the best chance to stay crash-free. Okay, so obviously you'll need to play around a little bit with the timing and the feeling of how a body would fall and flip, but I don't want to spend too much time here. It's this basic principle. You're going to have to fiddle around a little bit with the timing of the keyframes and the positioning and how you would actually do it, but yeah, you get the idea. So we can unsolo this layer now, and we can see that when we fly away, Ignace is still here. So what do we need to do is duplicate our original footage, and let's solo this for now. Go to the moment where he leaves the frame, which is right here. Right click, time, freeze frame, and then choose your ellipse tool to mask around the area where he would be, or just the entire right side. And then bring it over here, press F on the keyboard, increase it quite a bit, and let's unsolo this. So now if everything is good, we should get a real impact. Yeah, so right here I did the thing that my timing isn't perfect, so what I would need to do is actually redo it from like he gets hit right here actually. So move over the lightning. And so now what you want to do is basically duplicate it, and each time press U on the keyboard and go for the direction here. Place it onto your hand, go to the next one and just offset them, make them look different. And like that, you get different impacts of different lightning on yourself. And then of course at the end, you shouldn't forget to turn on your glows. You are getting stuff like this. And then obviously when you have the lightning, you always should create an adjustment layer, which is going to be below your lightning, but above your footage. And we're going to mask out a little bit of an area. Set it to something like 350 here and go to the effects and presets and add a shadow and highlights to the color correction. Add a tint. Change the tint color to blue in the whites. And boom, we have some cool reflection. Maybe set it to screen, and then press T on the keyboard and hold Alt, click on the stopwatch, wiggle, open parentheses, and that's going to be, let's say, 7 times a second. It's going to change a value of 100, why not? And then we're just going to trim this adjustment layer for the duration of the lightning itself. And that's it. So now we have the impact of the lightning. You can also add these lens dots that we've created in the first part, or actually use lens flares for the contact points whenever you impact the person. Then adding in some screen shake, adding some color grading brings us to this final result. Now, check this out. Alright, and that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a like and also subscribe to the channel for more and hit the notification bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. Apart from that, I'm going to leave you with another video right here, and you can continue enjoying the channel a little bit more. Until the next time, create epic videos.